Welcome to The Lock Shop with Nielsen and Hustler.
Good morning, Lock Shoppers. Welcome to a Friday edition of the Lock Shop here on Edmonton Sports Talk, EST, streaming on the iHeart TuneIn Radio app, and of course on YouTube. It's nice to see. I promise this is the final hour you will get of me today. I know it's a heavy LTE diet on a Friday, in which lots is going on in the sports world, but I promise, well, you might actually, there are rumors of a brief appearance later on the Reed Wilkins Show, 3 to 6 here on EST. So we'll, you might want to. You want to keep it locked here throughout the day to get the latest on that. But, of course, Edmonton Sports Talk and the Lock Shop presented by Play Alberta. Make your bets count for you and everyone else. The Play Alberta app. You can go to the website, playalberta.ca, or download the app to make it easier. Hundreds of player props on the biggest leagues, NFL, CFL, NHL, NBA, MLB, you name it. You're not just playing for fun, you're supporting your province. Play Alberta revenue helps fund Alberta programs and services. Deposit today. The promo code's on, of course, next week, Halloween Friday, ending the month of October. But get on these codes now, EST50, EST Sports, EST Casino for a $50 free bet. As mentioned, lots going on. Dustin Nielsen will not be joining us today. He didn't give the old 24-hour notice. He's texting still. You guys put together for my just texting me. Okay, that's okay. So he's still kind of participating. Of course, he's got the call tonight, final week of the regular season in the Canadian Football League. Elks at home to the Stamps. We'll be diving into week 21, of course. Not so much of a meaningful game here in Edmonton as it will be in Winnipeg tomorrow afternoon with the Bombers and the Alouettes. And congratulations, I will say, before we bring on our next guest or co-host of this program, to the Blue Bombers for successfully selling out the entirety of their regular season schedule. But once again, that's tomorrow, 1 o'clock, 9-8 Bombers, 10-7 Alouettes. Tonight, your 7-10 Edmonton Elks round out the regular season, and a respectable 7-10 record, I will say, against the 10-7 Calgary Stampeders. A battle of Alberta, albeit lowercase letters for tonight. Due to the fact it is Game 1 of the World Series, and that is taking precedent around the sporting world up here. Canada's team in action, the Toronto Blue Jays hosting the Los Angeles Dodgers in the 121st World Series. The vibes are high. The anticipation is swelling to an almost popping point. And, regardless, I just want to say, and before we bring on Huss, I am a Mariners fan. I'm not going to apologize for that. I don't mind the Jays. I don't like the Dodgers, so I am rooting for the Jays, and that's okay. But I hope everybody has a good time. I hope this series does last long. And whatever team, again, heart or head, whatever you're laying your shillings on for this series, do it responsibly. Use your game sense. But I just hope it's good. I hope coming off a 7-game thriller against the Mariners, I hope it's not a Dodgers type of Brewers thing, and I don't think it will be. With what the Jays possess both on the mound and at the plate. We'll take a deep dive into that with Huss as well. Obviously, Bo Bichette returning in what capacity, that remains to be seen. But I given the arc that the Jays have got coming off that emotional Game 7, I think winning the game in that fashion as opposed to just kind of winning it in a 5-1 fashion or more of a blowout style does serve them better heading into this series. So take that for what it's worth. Again, we'll take a deep dive into that. Of course, the Week 8 slate in the NFL kicking off last night. Bit of a snoozer. We'll get Huss's reaction to that and more for Week 8 as well moving forward into the weekend. Trade deadline is slowly approaching as well, November 4. So how that affects things in terms of your fantasy and everything, we will discuss. But CFL, NFL, World Series, and of course, in the NBA, with the illegal mafia-esque poker rooms. I don't know how much we'll dive into that, but that'll be to Huss's discretion as well. As we, I think he's ready to go. Hey, we can bring in Trevor gives me the finger to notify that Huss is ready. And we bring in Andrew Hustler Patterson, Winnipeg Sports Talk. Great to see you again, Huss. Thanks so much for having me on here.
LTE. Well, thanks for you're doing some heavy lifting today for the EST crew, I hear. Are you in on the Hangout too?
Yeah, I did an hour in there. I've done this before where I did host the morning show. I did the full 2 hours in the Hangout, and then I came on and hosted with you. I think we were talking Canada soccer at the time, but it's old hat, baby. I mean, that's what you do, right? It's.
Hey, you know what, dude? If you were gonna do it on any Friday of the year,
yeah.
I mean, listen, we're not digging ditches here. I mean, we got so much to get to. I was getting fired up just with you doing the intro, listening to everything that we've got to talk about. And it's sort of funny. I mean, I know you're a longtime Mariners fan. My partner on WST, Michael Remus, is also a long-suffering Mariners fan. He was a kid that grew up idolizing Ichiro, and I got to tell you, man, that series was so much fun. It was just incredible. I mean, the Mariners, like you look at that playoff run, 7 games, a thriller with the Jays in the ALCS, a legendary win in the DS in 15 innings.
Yeah.
I will say this, and I appreciate, I think you're sort of the same place as where Reem is. I mean, it's not like you dislike the Jays, you're pulling for your team. But if there was ever a silver lining, seeing how much fun everyone else is having and how into it, and it's certainly good for business too. I mean, there's a lot of people that are in for sports talk here in Canada. It's going to be great. So I can't wait for the World Series. Gets going tonight. Savage on the hill. I mean, his story is just absolutely incredible. But I will say that I think the vast majority, 99% of Jays fans, if Game 7 didn't go their way, they'd be all in on the Mariners right now because the Dodgers seem like a galactic all-star team, if you will. And it's going to take something really special to beat a team that is stocked with future Hall of Famers and obviously the best player ever to do it in Ohtani.
I professed it in the Hangout earlier. I am a sports romantic. I know the numbers mean a lot. They obviously weigh heavy, and we'll get into them in terms of betting and whatnot. But, man, I was sitting here with Dusty during the morning show, the morning of Game 7, and we both fist bumped, shook hands. We said, may the best team win, but whoever it is will just get swept by the Dodgers anyway, ho-hum. And but as I mentioned earlier too, given the way that Game 7 ended, that's really put a spring in Jays fan steps, and I'm undoubtedly the club as well, that, hey, and you mentioned the Dodgers kind of taking the mantle of the Yankees being that big, bad, expensive bully. Hard to like unless you are a dyed-in-the-wool Dodgers fan, because the money, the all-star power, the Hall of Famers, everything like that, you put that over here, that's the true antagonist. But then on the other side, you have the true protagonist in the Jays, a lineup that is hard to hate, a lineup that is fun, a lineup that has each other's backs, and just from people getting behind it, whatever color you are. Yankees, Red Sox probably excluded. But yes, the party ended for me. I took my Mariners jersey off. I folded it up. I kind of let out an exhale because the pressure was off now. But now I get to go from one party room into the other party room and not have my nerves jangled at all. Yeah. I'm living free and easy, baby.
Yeah, and the tension and the stress, through these, there's nothing like playoff baseball.
Yep.
But to your point, I'll say this about the Dodgers. For being sort of the evil empire 2.0 and spending the gajillion dollars they have on their team, from my perspective, a way more likable team than the Yankees or some of these other teams. I'm a huge Ohtani guy. How can you not love him? Mookie Betts is one of the most fun personalities and great players.
Freddie Freeman,
of course. And I love the Japanese guys like the Yamamoto and, obviously Ohtani and the kid, Roki Sasaki.
Yep.
These are really, really fun players that I think you can sort of get behind, but it's the lines are drawn right now. And I think this entire country is going to be locked in. I think I was talking to JD Bunkus yesterday on the program, and I think 8.5 million Canadians were watching when George Springer hit that home run. I wouldn't be surprised if this tops 10 for some of these World Series games.
Well, I wasn't even watching. I do my Monday and Thursday night footballs at Sully's Sports Bar and Lounge, Century Casino, Fort Road. Join me there every Monday and Thursday. It was 3-1 Mariners. The football game had ended. That was my duty. So I could have stayed for the ball game. There were I was the only Mariner guy in the house, obviously. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, there's two ways this ends, obviously. Either the Mariners hold on and I'm there applauding by myself looking a fool, or the Jays come back and I'm sitting there like Lieutenant Dan with all the streamers going off looking again like a fool. So I said, no, I'm going to take my stuff and go. So I'm driving and I heard the call from Dan Schulman's son, which, again, and I love Dan Schulman. I love listening to his dulcet tones calling a ball game, but his son, pun intended, hit it out of the park with that call. And then you got the color guy, his name escapes me, but saying this is the greatest moment in sports, just kind of, vomiting that out in the moment as you do. And I mean, you might debate that, but I really like how I kind of digested that moment as everybody was glued to the TV and you had the numbers there, but I didn't mind hearing the call from those two. So it was a little different for me, but no, Mariners, they played, you mentioned the series, the Tigers took it to the limit, played like 6 games, including the extras there, 7 games of the Jays. They did it all. They played it all. And I think it was a season summed up by that post-game interview of Brian Wu in the clubhouse saying, how would you describe the season? And a teammate in the showers just let out a yell. and so that was it. So it's done. So yes, just to surmise there, I'm not fully on board, but as I said, it's nice to go from one nervous party into a party now where I can just walk around the room and kind of jump into conversations and ask people how they're doing and not feel too uptight about it all.
Yeah, well, as I said, I mean, let's go. I mean, the wait is over. Tonight we get going. The Savage story, I mean, absolutely incredible. And I cannot wait. I will say this, just here's a little bit of, and I think there's a lot of confidence in Jays fans that this team's special and can hang.
Yep.
4 times in World Series history, a team has made the World Series going the distance and winning a 7th game in the championship series to play a team that swept in the other championship series. The teams that went 7 are 4-0. So, you know what? We'll see. Maybe they can get off to a good start tonight, grab a win, and take it from there. But listen, obviously, I know you guys had a nice boost for the Blue Jays to win the series. Most books have it in and around minus 186 or so. I know you guys got a boost, I think, up to 2-1.
200, yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, hey, listen, we'll take a little bit on that. I did, Eric, before the playoffs started, put a little sprinkle, a 10 spot on Alejandro Kirk to be World Series MVP at 120-1. So that's still live. He's, I think, 30-1 now. But bring it on, World Series tonight. But that's just the tip of the iceberg of what we've got to talk about today. Final week of the CFL season. We've got our NFL picks locked and loaded. Dusty sent his in. Let me just quickly ask you, and by the way, thanks for the kind words about the PEG. Unbelievable achievement for all of us that love the CFL and want to see teams do well and thrive. The Bombers have really raised the bar. This has been, in the stands, a magical season. To be honest, the team's kind of fallen off quite a bit. And I don't know if you've noticed the depth chart that was just dropped by the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, but they're not playing Zach Caleros. They're not playing Brady Oliveira. It sounds like Davis Alexander is actually going to be playing. Now, that could change if Hamilton wins tonight, but we've seen just give me your updated lines right now, because I think as these depth charts come out, there has been a little bit of a shakeup along with this. Well, certainly the line in the Winnipeg Montreal games changed.
Yeah, so taking a look right now, playalberta.ca, you got the Alouettes plus 4.5. Again, that might, given I perused that depth chart you were talking about, and I was watching, as you know I was last week, Riders and Bombers, in which, a final field goal against a backup and then a third string quarterback in the fourth quarter. Riddle, because I'm not paying attention to that kind of side of the standing right now. I'm a green and white guy. I know where the Riders are at.
You're good.
We're waiting around, and this is the rest versus rust. And I'm glad you brought up that World Series stat because Reed did it all, earlier in the hangout. Where I understand that if you guys, you got guys walking wounded, it is good to have a break. I've always thought too in the CFL, given how it's set up, and just the quickness of the playoff format, I would rather have the home gate finish that second spot, have a game, and then go in with a little bit of momentum as opposed to just waiting around, especially if you lock up that division quite early, you are kind of mentally waiting around even longer. But I wanted your thoughts and maybe for all the listeners and viewers here, what is the scenario heading in? I mean, Winnipeg, 18 points, Calgary, BC tied at 20. I'm not, again, off the top of my head, familiar with the tiebreaker scenarios. I'm sure you can probably explain this more. But what has to happen? I guess like Winnipeg right now, again, you end the season this morning. They're in that crossover spot. But what do Blue Bombers fans want more? What's kind of the feel and the vibe? And given, as you mentioned, the recent release of that depth chart.
Yeah, I mean, I think for the last week or so, it's sort of been at peace with going through the East. In all likelihood, Hamilton wins tonight. They're like 2 touchdown favorites against Ottawa at home. If they win, they clinch the East. We'll have the bye, and then obviously we'll play at home against the winner of Montreal and the crossover team. The situation is this: the only way that the Bombers will not be playing in Montreal is if BC loses to Saskatchewan, Bombers win, and the Elks win.
Okay.
And at that point, BC would be the crossover team, and Winnipeg would play in Calgary and then go to Saskatchewan. Okay. So the bottom line is the Bombers, unlike the last number of years, they've got to hit the road. I mean, circa 2019, win it on the road. And no crossover team has ever done it, made it to the Grey Cup. So, I mean, it's got to happen sometime.
And you talk about story and destiny, though, hosting it this year would be...
Well, it would be. And let's face it, Eric, I mean, the juiciest possibility for the 112th Grey Cup
yes,
would be the Bombers going through the East, the Riders getting it done at home at Mosaic, and having Prairie Armageddon, Bombers, Riders in the Grey Cup. I mean, that's the dream. That is the dream scenario for those of us in Winnipeg. But I'm interested, and I'm not sure if you've seen, I know the Riders rested Trevor Harris and some of those guys last week. You're off next week. I would imagine some of those players will play at least part of this game tonight.
Yeah.
I mean, we're still haunted by the 2001 Bombers, who had that great record. They clinched it with 3 weeks left. They didn't play their starters in the last 2 weeks. They had the bye, and then they were just absolutely flat coming out of it.
Yep.
So I do think Saskatchewan will play somewhat. And by the time that happens, I guess obviously the Calgary BC is somewhat up in the air as to who will host a game between those two. So there still is something going on, to play for right now. Calgary's going to be wanting to win tonight, but so is Edmonton. I mean, we did our picks a little earlier. I do like Edmonton at +5.5 in this game. I think the Elks are live. I think that Mark Killam's done a great job at resetting the culture, getting guys that want to be there. And listen, it's unfortunate that they're on the outside again of the playoffs, but I still think that this has been a pretty successful season for the team, for the organization, because I mean, they're a legitimate team right now. I mean, they're not the laughing stock of the league. And obviously there's a lot of I'm sure conversations among Elks fans. Everyone wanted to give Trey Ford some run. I mean, how different would this Elks season be if Cody Fajardo, who by all accounts was the better quarterback in training camp, was the week 1 starter? Heck, we could be talking about the Bombers not even in the playoffs right now and the Elks getting back into it. But I think brighter days are ahead for Edmonton. I think they make a big statement tonight. Their final opportunity in front of their home fans against their arch rival. I think that'll be a tight one. And that could make things interesting for the Winnipeg and Sask BC games tomorrow.
Well, that's and just to echo that, I think having a playoff, the Elks have been playing playoff ball here for the past, however many weeks, and ultimately time ran out on them. and results did too. Keon Julian Grant catches one against Hamilton. Things could be changed there. You mentioned the Fajardo question, and that's obviously. But Killam, this is a different time, and I think a success and a win for this franchise this year has been us having them in the playoff conversation this late in the season. That to me is a W, albeit lowercase. But you gotta, where they're at right now, you take that, you build off it, you move on. 4.5 right now, plus 4.5. The Elks are up at Play Alberta for tonight's second half of the doubleheader. We've gone over the Ticats, Red Blacks. Bombers minus 4.5 at home to the Alouettes. And then you got the Lions. The Riders are plus 7 at home to the Lions. And you do make a great point that I don't see them. You can't. Again, this is to my fear and my caution of rest versus rust. You do need to get a few guys going. That offense is not necessarily explosive at times either when they've been playing all their starters and having to play meaningful games. So you do want to get a little rhythm still going in heading into a bye week, albeit resting, but balancing that rest versus rust. So again, Riders, Lions round out the week. Everything will kind of maybe be settled by then. Obviously, tonight's game between the Elks and Stamps factors into that. If the Elks, do show up, which I think they will, as you pointed out. Killam's a good players coach. He's got those guys psyched in, mentally locked in, so they'll want to end on a good note. So, yeah, again, Ottawa, Hamilton, you can kind of put that on the back burner, really, in terms of, And I don't want to spend too much time talking about the Red Blacks, but Dusty and I were talking too. You have to think that there's a bit of a toilet flush there come off season. I just, a lot of questions with that organization. But the other three this week, there's a lot of different narratives and different conclusions we might see by the end of week 21. So, yeah, fascinating there. I don't know if you wanted to get into any numbers here relating to that, or if you wanted to move on here to sashay into the NFL, or
you know what? I know they're just looking at the chat. There is a couple people were asking, or Sobe Kirk, will the Riders get the Bombers dressing room in Winnipeg, being the West winner? We looked into that. In that scenario, they would not. I'm sure Wade Miller put a little caveat in there saying, just in case
the fine
happens,
print. Yeah.
Obviously, it would be sort of an awkward move for a team. Hey, just before we move off the CFL.
Yep.
And just to note, maybe if you want to pull up the Grey Cup odds right now, I'm pretty sure that Montreal, despite likely being the 2 seed in the East, still has shorter odds than Hamilton. Montreal right there with Saskatchewan, but from a Sask perspective, from a Rider guy, is there a team that you would prefer to play in the West Final between BC and Calgary?
Yep, easily for me. And that's just gone off what we know. And I think the 2 games that the Stamps and Riders have played this year, it's obvious that they got out physicaled by the Stampeders. And I think, in my humble opinion, outcoached both on the offensive and defensive schemes. I think the Stamps did a great job of exposing Mark Mueller's unwillingness to kind of turn the page at times. And I'm a big believer in a Corey Chamberlain-led defense, but
those games were really early in the season, weren't they?
What's this?
Those games were really early in the season.
There was the one weird one with the forest fire smoke, and they had to play the next day. And the Stamps just obliterated them at Taylor Field. And Vern Adams put on it was just they marched the ball, and they were very, very aggressive, and they just punched them in the face. And then the game in Calgary, which was a little closer at halftime, but the Stamps were still playing a better game, albeit due to the fact that a couple turnovers had them kind of behind the 8 ball there, but they eventually pulled away. So with a bullet from a Riders fan point, I would rather have the BC Lions. I know you're Nathan Rourke. I think he's well worth the price of admission. Very exciting player and a very good offense going down, but I would take the Riders D against that offense traditionally as they've matched up. And I am on record multiple times in saying I still don't believe in a Mike Benavides led defense. I just don't buy them. I know they've kind of maybe come on in the last third of the season with the number of points they've allowed in certain games, but I just think the offense matches up better against that Lions D than they would against the Stampeders D. So yeah, for me, it's easy. I as a Rider fan, I would much rather face the Lions at Mosaic than a Stamps team coming in. And I'll take it one further. You mentioned the outright winners. Riders right now plus 260, Alouettes plus 310, Ticats plus 320. The Alouettes are a team that scare me, and I know they had their midseason blip due to injuries, but Davis Alexander and a Noel Thorpe defense really changes that whole makeup. So I still love the Alouettes really right now. They're my Grey Cup favorite. But again, with what we've seen with the CFL playoffs, you get into the dance, and even your Blue Bombers, Huss, like that's a team that's been there and done that and knows what they have to do to get into that game. And all they need to do is get into the final. And if you're playing at home in a Grey Cup final, which again, in a 9-team league, it doesn't happen as often as some people would like to think, their chances really, really rocket up. So for me, yeah, to answer your question, I'd like to see the Lions if I'm hosting a West final as opposed to the Stamps from a Rider point of view. But if Winnipeg, if that does happen and they get the crossover, I think that Eastern playoffs will be very, very interesting to see what happens. And from a Ticats, I mean, they're a team that, same with that Riders point of view. You finish first and you might be sitting there a little fat and happy, but you're getting one of either Winnipeg or Montreal coming in. And I have a tough time believing in the Tiger Cats when things are on the line, so to speak.
And here's the thing. I mean, as difficult as it is for the Bombers, assuming that they go to Montreal to win that game against many people's Grey Cup favorite, if they do, I think there's a much greater chance of beating the Ticats than it would be beating the Riders in Regina.
Yeah.
So to me, the path makes a little more sense. One more CFL question for you. Eric, if your Riders are successful in the West Final, might we have an LTE appearance in the Peg for the 112th Grey Cup? EST on location.
The problem with that is, and I'll say this right now, is, and I don't know if I may have mentioned it. I will be at my cousin's daughter's wedding the day of the West Final in Moose Jaw, watching the game with my brother, probably on a phone or an iPad. So I can't even really enjoy that. And maybe that's for the best. Maybe it's for the best of me being in somewhat of a semi-public scene in order to kind of keep myself sane. So that's how I'll digest the West Final. If, in fact, they do advance to the Grey Cup in Winnipeg, Matthew Iwanek has already booked that off. He's going there. It's not a business trip. He's going as a fan. So that's one employee down. Dustin Nielsen will obviously have his duties to take care of in terms of calling the CFL. So that's another person down. Of course, Dustin and I share duties on the morning show. So with Matty gone and Dusty already gone, I don't know if I'll...
bench. It's a short bench.
It's a very short bench. And I've usually, traditionally, I have been the one to come in Monday morning of Grey Cup Sunday to recap an Argonauts... To recap all the Bombers' Grey Cup losses, I've been the guy to come and do it. So as much as I would love to, and I've always said, and I know in the years it's taken maybe kind of a different turn, but I love the Rider-Bomber rivalry because I've always said it's the friendly prairie rivalry. I would love to kick up my boots with you and Mr. Ritz Kraka.
Yes.
But I think it's a very big underdog right now if you were setting a line at playalberta.ca.
Well, the thing is, it's a non-zero chance. First of all, Riders got to get there. But there will be, I think there could be some things working behind the scenes as we move forward. There could be a way to pull it all off. The magic of technology.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be something? The morning show, the Nielsen show with LTE. Live from Winnipeg the Monday morning after the Riders win the Grey Cup, like that.
You're painting a Picasso here. I love it.
You must see. So anyways, we'll see. I just thought the red carpet will be rolled out for you along with Iwanek if you're able to make it.
Never say never. Yeah.
Invite is definitely there. So I guess you were at the casino last night doing the football game and Oilers?
Yeah, we had the football game. The football game takes priority because that's when I'm there for the promotion, but that Oilers-Habs game really kind of, and I said earlier today too, it's not often we've said where we've gone away from the football game to watch the Oilers game in this young season, but last night certainly was the case given the theme of both of those games taking place.
Yeah, it's as I say, we've got a lot on the plate, LTE. This is, as I said, getting back to, obviously this final CFL weekend and going into playoffs. We've got the World Series, but last night with no baseball, the game itself was a bit of a dud. You want to talk about a dud? I was at the Jet game last night, and it was that was the 7th game of the season, late October. The anonymous Kraken coming in. Great goaltending by both goaltenders, but a bit of a snoozer. Basically a 1-0 game. Seattle got a couple of empty netters. They're right back at it against Calgary tonight. But the by far the most exciting. Well, there was a couple really good games last night. The Habs-Oilers game was wild. Josh Anderson, did you think that was a legit penalty? I was a little surprised. And I said to some guys, if a guy rips the puck afterwards, how often would that get called? I guess you don't really see it happen, so maybe it does. I was still a little surprised. And then, man, the Oilers made them pay.
Well, and the Oilers do get that Kraken team that you mentioned Saturday, tomorrow night, I guess it is. But I think two things can be correct at once, and we often don't like that in our sports talk. You're either right or wrong, or it's this opinion or that. Okay, so it's a penalty by the letter and the rule of the law that the NHL has kind of instituted in its street law type of, and we have people talking about MLB umpires and NBA officials as probably being the worst of the big four. But you know that if you can say whatever you want to them. Reed Wilkins mentioned it too. I mean, you can say you can talk a blue streak. Ain't nobody in the stands hearing it. Certainly nobody on television unless it's a hot mic. But the second that you illustrate an action, which communicates to the fan watching at home or in the stands that you were upset at the ruling party, the game managers, if you will, that being the officials, that's a no-no. And I think, we all know that by now. So he did it. You can't do it. Obviously, frustration boiled over. Will Fraser joined me this morning as well, kind of akinning the Montreal Canadiens to an Oilers team of years past where they're still the young boys on the block, albeit Josh Anderson not, but the team as a whole is, and they need to kind of find their way, so to speak, into the club. You cannot... You can't, as a young team, start to think you're going around and physically illustrating your disgust at the officials night after night. So, lesson learned. But we all know that that's what they're going to do, and that's what they're going to call. But I can have the opinion that I think it's soft, and I think that officials sometimes, they depending on who they are and even their moods and their emotion in a game, might want to lay down the law, maybe too heavily at times. So. It's a call that you have to make that they've traditionally made. But as an overall thought to officials, you as a player that if you make them look a fool and you especially either point at them or do something with your stick or do something that physically illustrates disgust, they're going to be all over it. So to me, it was done by a veteran player that I just, you should know better. But I also pointed out that I think, Martin St. Louis and some of the Habs players interviewed, you should come to these things, and it'd be really refreshing if I were to hear a guy after maybe what you would call a poorly official game from your point of view to say, man, that was those refs were just, they were lights out tonight, weren't they great? And just to kind of sarcastically take that tone, because now you're going on record saying you thought it was great. We all know what your true thoughts are. You don't have to illustrate it physically, but yeah, to answer what you asked. Yeah, it is a call, but I can still find it weak, and I think most people look if you turn the colors around and it's an Oiler doing that and it gets called, fans would probably be up in arms. But again, it's street law, and officials don't like being made a fool of, so it's a justifiable one. But albeit, you should know better because that's how it's going to get called.
Yeah, Anderson's a bit of a knucklehead. He's done some dumb things in the past. I'll say this: if the score was reversed and the Habs were down at the time, I doubt that gets called, but that's part of managing the game. Anyways, Nice win for the Oilers last night.
Yes.
It was a busy night, and we have big Saturday for the Oil. Jets playing the second end of back-to-backs tonight. What do we got? 4 games in the NHL. Well, dude, one other funny thing, just as we get to the NFL slate. I had JD Bunkus on yesterday. Who does Leafs talk, as well as his show, which is heavily Jays right now, obviously. And we were joking around about the fact that the Leafs, of course, have had not a very good start. The team got called out by Anthony Stolarz,
of all people, yeah,
which normally would have been the biggest story in Toronto. No one was talking about it because everyone was going crazy about the Jays. And then, of course, Vlad shows up for Game 7 wearing an Austin Matthews Leafs jersey, a team that has lost 7 consecutive Game 7s.
With the A on it.
Well, yeah, he's a longtime fan. Longtime fan of Austin. I mean, he's not just new, just grabbing the new one.
Right.
Someone giving it to him. He's had it for a while. But the Jays winning that game with Vladdy wearing the Leaf jersey and the Jays taking all of the attention away from their bad start. The Leafs have been the biggest winners adjacent to what's been happening with the Blue Jays. Now, get this. Tonight and tomorrow is a home-and-home series between the Leafs and the Buffalo Sabres. This is a time where the fans are going back and forth. Well, they've moved the game times because of the World Series, and no one's going to be paying attention to Toronto and Buffalo over the course of these next few days. And again, with the way the Leafs have been playing, that is probably a good thing. Yeah, that was supposed to be a 7:00 game. They moved it to 4 p.m. on Saturday because, of course, 3 hours later, it's time to get in the dome.
Huss, I said, how are you going to support an NFL team if you can't have 2 major league teams going at it at the same time? I don't know if that's a big major metropolitan market. I don't know if you can hack it. If you got to be switching times around, I
mean, it's more for, I think it's great. I mean, it's more for the fans. I mean, who wants to, I mean, let's face it. We all know what's going to take priority.
Absolutely.
And it is sort of funny. I mean, that the Leafs are willing to do that. I mean, they've always thought of themselves as the team and everyone else can change around us.
Yes.
We are the Toronto Maple Leafs.
They should change the World Series scheduling for the Sabres Leafs home and home.
Yeah, make them matinee games. Anyways, that's not happening, but no one will be paying attention to that. It's all about what's happening.
But we've all seen the articles of what the Leafs can learn from Toronto's playoff run, right? I mean, we got to make this back to the Leafs in some shape or form.
Oh yeah, it eventually it will always come back to the Leafs. You want to get into some NFL? I'm locked and loaded. 5-0 last week against the spread. 9-1 in the last 2 weeks. I had a crummy start to the season. I've been seeing the board well. So I am ready, locked and loaded. Now, I guess Dusty's texted in his picks. So I'll just fire those out afterward. Yeah. I'm going to try and not look at them. I think I saw one of them in the thing. I think we're on opposite sides. But let me run down my top 5 picks against the spread for the week, and then we can get into a couple of touchdown props and maybe talk about National Tight Ends Day. Which, of course, you might want to get on those tight end props this week, folks, if last year was any indication. I'm going to start it off with Atlanta. They're at home to the Miami Dolphins. They're 7.5-point home favorites. The Falcons have been such a weird team this year.
Yes. Kind
of Jekyll and Hyde. Every time you think that they've arrived, well, they'll go and lose 30-0 to the Carolina Panthers. And then, you have a couple of big, great wins. You beat the Buffalo Bills in a big upset on Monday Night Football. Now you end up being favorites on the road against the Niners, who are all beat up, and you end up losing that game. So there's been a lot of kind of give and take with Atlanta. This is a get-right spot for the Falcons. First off, get ready for a lot of Bijan Robinson. I mean, the Miami defense is depleted. They can't stop the run. He is going to have a monster game this week. Would I love it under a touchdown? Yes. Am I fine with laying the 7.5? I am. Chick-fil-A in the dome, in the Mercedes-Benz Superdome will not be open because it's a Sunday game. You got to get it on the Mondays, but there will be some cooking by the home team. We're taking Atlanta minus 7.5.
The Dirty Birds.
Next up, I'm going with Mr. Dak Prescott and the Dallas Cowboys as 3-point road dogs in Denver. Dallas has really impressed me this year. I know there was a lot of doom and gloom when they traded Micah Parsons earlier this year. And obviously they had a couple ugly wins early on, and the defense was an absolute catastrophe.
Well, you're always waiting for the wheels to fall off in some way, right?
Exactly. But, they've managed to sort of, steady themselves just because Dak is playing so well. I mean, they have to win games 35-30, and they're more than happy to do that.
Yep.
I think every game this season, with the exception of the opener, has gone over for the Cowboys. I mean, it was 24-20. They lost to the Eagles. There was 77 points in the Giants game, 45 in the Bears game. That might have actually been an under. Then you had the 40-40 tie with the Packers. It's 80. Another 69 points or 59 against the Jets, 57 against the Panthers, and 66 last week. So there will be points. Denver's got a good defense, but I think Dallas is still going to score. And here's the thing Bo Nix, it took him 2 hours to wake up and get into that game. And I think the Giants really gave that one away with the way they handled their defense. And you heard it from their defensive players. But to me, I think Dallas is live in this game to potentially win outright. I mean, if you want to buy the half point, I think you might be a little safer. I think there is the chance of a push at +3. But I'm taking Dallas +3 for my second pick. Number 3 on the card is the Houston Texans. Texans -2 at home against the Niners. This is a bet on the Houston defense. The Houston defense, and listen, I know JSN went off pretty good. Sammy Darts is just on fire. I mean, with the Seattle right now. That was a tough spot for Houston, the late game on the Monday night.
Yeah.
They come back, they get a Niner team that, of course, had a pretty solid game. And Kyle Shanahan is a genius. Like, how he's able to cook these game plans up has been amazing. And it was also all Christian McCaffrey last week for the most part. That's easier said than done against this Texans defense. They're 2-4 right now. They cannot go to 2-5. I think they play a desperate brand of football. And I do like Houston to get this done as a 2-point favorite at home against San Francisco. Next up, we're going to go and take the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Now, I was looking earlier today. It was showing -4 at Tampa -4 and -104 and -112 for 3.5. So I jumped on the Tampa -3.5, paid just a little bit more in the number. This is one of those games that historically will make you nervous. Divisional rivals.
Yeah.
The home dog traditionally does really, really well in these games. But the New Orleans Saints are not even close. Even with the depleted Buccaneers receiving core, they've got Mbuka. He's been a stud all year long. This Tez Johnson's playing. And the Bucs defense is legit. I mean, you saw what they did to Detroit. I knew that was a tough spot for Tampa last week. I was all over Detroit. I think they get back in the win column in a big way. And I just don't have the faith that the Spencer Rattler and the Saints can keep up with what Baker and the Bucs offense will do. So we're going to lay the 3.5 with Tampa. So those are my 4 main picks. And looking at a 5th pick to add in, I think I'm going to roll with the Baltimore Ravens.
Okay.
Who are 6.6 or 6.5. I'll do the 6 at -115. Chicago's actually been playing pretty well. I think Ben Johnson's doing a great job with his team. But for the Baltimore Ravens at 1-5, coming off the bye, this is their first of 10 straight playoff games.
Yep.
Lamar is back.
Yep.
It's very clear what they need to do. They need to get right. They need to get right fast. And they will probably give up some points. But I think this is going to be a big, big day for Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry, and the Baltimore Ravens offense. So I will lay any number shorter than a touchdown We'll take the Ravens minus 6.5. So Baltimore, Tampa, Houston, Dallas, and Atlanta, my spread picks for the week. And now let's get into and see what Dusty has.
Yeah, if you want him here, I know you weren't peeking, and that was good.
No. So we're head-to-head on the Niner game.
Yep. He's got Niners +2. He's taking that, and you were with Texans -2.
Yep, that's a head-to-head for us.
The Atlanta one. You also liked the Falcons as well. He's doing that -7.5.
Okay, we're both on ATL.
Then he goes off. Pittsburgh +3. It's the Rogers Bowl, which would have been nice from Lambeau, but Pittsburgh at home to Green Bay. Dusty's going +3 there for the Steelers. And then he's taking Indy the 14.5. Now it is the Tennessee Titans.
Those big numbers don't scare Dusty off. He is
not at all
more than willing to lay massive, massive numbers. And listen, why wouldn't you? Tennessee has been an absolute toilet all year long, and Indy just keeps on smashing teams.
You got to believe in them now, don't you?
Absolutely.
You have
They've earned
to.
It.
Yeah. And then he's got Cincinnati -6.5.
So he's in on old man Flacco. He is in on old man. That was
I kind of am
wild.
too. I kind of am too. Is that wrong of me? Am I dirty? Is that?
No. Listen, it was. I mean, I still.
It is the Jets, much like the Titans Colts conversation here, right?
Yeah, well, and part of the reason why Pittsburgh isn't on my card, I mean, I'm always a sucker for the Steelers at home. I mean, this is kind of a cool game with Rodgers going up against the Packers for the first time. I just can't get over how brutal their defense was against the Bengals last Thursday night. Hell of a fun game to watch.
Yeah.
But, I mean, Flacco doesn't even know the plays. He's just basically telling Jamar Chase to do one of things: run a fly, run a hook, run a slant, and you're getting the football. Here's something from a prop perspective for that game, because I'm not touching it with the spread. I mean, the Jets are on the suspended list already, and I'm not quite ready to really line up alongside the Bengals. However, I will for props. And everyone knows the Jamar Chase show that happened last week against the Steelers, and certainly the Jets know that as well. They've got Sauce Gardner, who's one of the better cover corners in the league. Jamar Chase is going to be have plenty of attention. Now, he'll still get his.
Yeah.
But what I think that's going to do is open up things for T. Higgins on the other side. He had Chase in that game last week. I'm going to have to pull this up because it was that wild. He had something like 23 targets. I think it was the second or the third most targets a receiver has ever had in a game. Let's pull this up. Cincinnati. Yeah, 23 targets for Jamar Chase. Well, T. Higgins still had 10 himself and 6 grabs for 96 yards. So the T. Higgins number is, I think, 53 or 54.5. I'm taking the over on that one. And another prop that I like, and I'm sure I can get you on side, actually a couple of them. James Cook. James Cook has been cooking all year long. He's coming off the bye. A combined number, rushing and receiving, of 91.5. I'm taking the over on Cook. And then I was talking with some of the fellas earlier today about a little tight end, National Tight End Day parlay. And I'm going to stay with the Bills actually on this one. And I'm going with the guy, Dalton Kincaid. I think he was really missed in that last game when the Bills weren't there. And I mean, I'll ask you as a Bills guy. I mean, you've got a great running back, obviously an all-pro quarterback. The receiving core right now is, to me, a little bit subpar as opposed to some of the other contenders.
Yeah.
But at the same point, it's because of that, it's given more opportunity for Kincaid to show that he's one of the top tight ends in the league. And Allen has been feeding him. So I'm in on Kincaid props for this week.
Their receivers have always left me wanting more, in a sense, when you have a guy like Allen. But I've always thought, too, that if it's aerial, it does go through the tight end position, specifically Kincaid. No offense to the Keon Colemans of the world, but I like where you're going there. Dusty also in celebration of the tight end. What are we calling it? Jamboree here, or what is it? Tight end week.
Yeah, okay. I like that.
Tyler Warren of the Colts. He's got for his touchdown options. He's got Bijan. He's got Cook. Tyler Warren of the Colts, Dobbins, and Metcalf as well to round out his touchdown props.
Oh, wow. Okay, so he's going to cook up a big touchdown prop. Don't mind that. I like, I'm in on Derrick Henry this week. As I said, I like and by the way, I can get behind the Bills. If you wanted to tell me that you were going to put something together and maybe you want to do that, like the Bills are 7-point favorites. You want to take that to 6.5. I could get behind that. Dusty didn't have it. I didn't have it. But if you want to pop that in, what are the other games that we are sort of together on? We're both in on Atlanta.
Yep.
At -7.5.
Head to head on the Niners one, as you mentioned.
Yeah, we're head to head, so we'll leave that one out. But if we go Atlanta -7.5, do you like the Bills?
I do. I do. They need to get things right too, and what better way than to flex the muscle at Carolina?
We'll get the half point on that one because it's got to be a number that's not a push. So we'll take that to 6.5. I know the boost will take care of that. I'll throw to you. I mean, of the other picks that we made, or is there a game that's off the board that we haven't touched that you might want to throw around? Here are the options. Dallas +3. I guess we could take that to 3.5. Tampa -3.5. Baltimore -6.5. Cincy -6.5. That massive number with Indy 14.5. Or Pittsburgh +3. Again, that both Pittsburgh and Dallas are interesting to me. I think both of those games should be tight. Either Dusty's pick or my pick. I think if we add the half point to that and put that with Atlanta and Buffalo, could be a nice little parlay. Which one do you like better, Dallas or Pitt?
I like the Dallas one. I really like that.
Let's ride. Let's ride.
Let's ride, as Russ would say. That should be interesting. I don't know about the Broncos, man. And I mean, again, I keep waiting for the Cowboys' wheels to fall off, but mark me down for that one. That's where I'm going.
Perfect.
With a felt tip Sharpie.
I'll fire that over to Dusty and let him know that that's kind of what we cooked up for a 3-gamer. And then, hey, if I'm taking Dalton Kincaid and he's taking Tyler Warren, can I interest you in another tight end, Eric, for a 3-way tight end touchdown parlay?
Let's do a 3-way here. Just let that hang in the air for a second. Here. Give me a moment. I want to.
Let's think of who we've got today. I mean, I don't know. Pitts is a no-go. Pitts is absolutely a no-go. Hunter Henry or David Njoku, those guys are there. Let's see. Dallas Goedert, Eagles. Mark Andrews, Ravens. I believe he's back in. You know who's a big. What about George Kittle? Kittle is back, although it is Mac Jones playing. I like the Texans defense. Maybe we won't go there.
Nasty chat. Any tight ends you'd like us? I'm Cade Otton.
I was just about to go there, Eric. I think that's the one. He's getting a ton of looks right now. Evans and Godwin are out. Why don't we roll with that? Kincaid, Otton, and Warren.
Yeah.
For the national tight ends
with a bullet.
All
yeah.
Right. I'll fire those over to Dusty as well, and then we can get locked in for tonight in Game 1 of the World Series.
Woo! I'll be heading down to the Elks tailgate. I'm walking down there. It takes me about 2.5 hours to walk down there on foot. Plan to be there by about 5 to 5:30ish. Ingest the tailgate in all its glory for the final time this season. They will be showing the game, Jays game, inside Play Alberta Field, Commonwealth Stadium. So probably stay for like a half, kind of mosey around and putz around. But I'm sure people have it on at the tailgate. The place will be it'll be one of those nights, Huss, and it doesn't happen often when you are feeling the beat of a city and it's on a Friday night just kind of dead. Hey, like traffic wise and all that. Everybody will be in their abodes. So yeah, I mean, I don't know where you want to go with this one, where you want to take it. But let's dive in. 121st World Series, Jays at home for game 1.
Yeah, I mean, listen, this is a hard pick right now. We'll ride with the Jays tonight. Hopefully the kid, Savage, can do it. There's some interesting strikeout options and props out there. I mean, that's one thing that when he's cooking. And the Dodgers do strike out. They also hit a lot of bombs. I think we're just going to have some fun playing the money line. I do have an Alejandro Kirk, a couple props, over 1.5 total bases, a little sprinkle on a home run. And
MVP, you said earlier?
I mean, yeah, that's a pre-playoffs bet. So I'm like all in. I'm trying to manifest Kirky getting it done. But enjoy the World Series, everybody. It is going to be it's going to be a beauty. Everyone's going to be locked in tonight. I feel sorry for anything else going on this evening, including the Elks game and including the Jets game. But because I think that'll be secondary for most people.
We'll make our way through. We'll enjoy it. As I said, the sport hurricane, the eye has been hovering over us here for quite some time, and long may it continue. Huss, good luck this weekend. Once again, congratulations for the sellout, pillar to post for the Bombers. And hey, as I said earlier, never say never. We've made things work before here at EST, and perhaps if I could, I'd take the train out if I had to see my country, so to speak.
Just as I leave, I will say this: the only way I think I would sign up to be cheering for the Saskatchewan Roughriders is if it meant that LTE would be here to rip it up with us for the Grey Cup. So
let's go.
Get some irons in the fire on that. Lock shoppers, good luck with the picks this week. Enjoy the World Series. Enjoy all the football. And I'll look forward to seeing you all on Monday.
There you go. Thanks, Huss. Andrew Hustler Patterson, Winnipeg Sports Talk. You know him. You love him. Check him out today, Winnipeg Sports Talk, on all the socials and whatnot there. I guess Trev joins me. Is that the outro music?
That is what that is. Oh, thank you. No, that's to you. That's to you, buddy. Great job,
here. It's been a fun. Thank you as well, everybody, for putting up with me for as long as you have today. You won't see me again until Monday, hopefully, or hear me, but I might. There's rumors I might be joining the Reed Wilkins show later this afternoon. For YouTube, Trev setting up the show, and Andrew Hustler Patterson, and Dustin Nielsen, who couldn't join us today. He's got the call tonight, Elk Stamps, 7:30 across the TSN network. I'm Lieutenant Eric. This has been another episode of Lock Shop, presented by Play Alberta.